So this is actually something that I try to be all the time, which is I always try to be objective. Of course, in some ways, I feel like we're always biased. Trying to be as objective as much as possible, I think gives you truth, it gives you honesty. For example, you got a family member. Because that person is in your family, you're more likely to be biased towards them. So even if they're wrong, you won't really accept it. You will still support them and stand by their side. For me, that's a little bit different. I'm not gonna give them the excuse. Just because they're family, they're not wrong. I'm not gonna say that. If they're wrong, I will say that they are wrong. Of course, it has its downsides because they might actually hate you for that. But if they hate you for being honest, then they're actually trying to avoid the truth in itself. And I'm not like that. Like, how can you blame someone for not actually standing in your corner when you're actually being wrong and you just don't want to admit it and you're looking for excuses? So for instance, even when it comes to relationships, maybe you get separated, whatever, your family will probably back you up, even though that they also have a pretty good idea that you are not perfect. But because it's family, they're going to be very subjective. I try not to be that way. I'm not about feelings, I'm about the truth. If I'm being very emotional, I'm going to be driven by my emotions, not by common sense. And I don't want that. It's something I don't like. People might hate me for this, but it is what it is. Another example is if I have a friend who's wrong, I'm not just going to say that he's right just because he's my friend. I think a good friend is not a good friend because I'm backing him all the time, even when he's wrong. I think a good friend is also very honest. Like if I'm just comforting other people's feelings and I'm making sure that everyone is feeling comfortable and I'm afraid of hurting people's feelings, I'm pretty much just like putting this massive boundary, not just around myself, but around them as well. And I always have to make sure not to cross the line. Now, I don't want to be living that way. If people get sort of offended by hearing the truth, that's on them. It's very unfortunate, but that's just the way I think about it. Point is, a lot of the times I feel like people are looking for things that they want to hear and not what they need to hear. That's when objectivity comes into play, and that's just how I am trying to be.